And I think it's time for our review of the game. This is something I'm going to be doing for every game we play from now on. As soon as we are done with the game, I'm gonna give my thoughts about the game, and I'm gonna give it a score, and then we're gonna move on to whatever else. These reviews are gonna be short-ish. They're gonna be on YouTube, in the collection tab, also in a review playlist. But yeah, I decided, since my name is ShinoSeven, that the reviews would be something out of 7. So the way I'm looking at it is this way. 1 is avoid at all costs game. 2 is a terrible game. 3 is a below average game. 4 is average. 5 is a good game. 6 is a great game. And 7 is a must-own game. So that's the way I've been deciding to go about it. There's not going to be, I don't think I'll ever make like a 4.5 or 4.75 or something. Like, it's always going to be like a pure score, just because it's easier that way. So yeah, Call of Cthulhu is a very, very interesting game. Was not what I thought it was going to be, in a good sense and in a bad sense. So my reviews are going to be that way, guys. It's going to be story, gameplay, audio is going to be sound, voice acting, music, and then the overall polish of a game. Why do I give a score for polish? Why do I even talk about polish of a game? Some people will mention in passing in reviews bugs. Polish is very important to me because that's what I do in real life. I'm a QA tester. My job is to polish games and make sure that there's as little to no bugs, like 0 to, very little to 0. So I figured, like, since it's my reviews, I'm gonna give a score for that aspect of a game. Now, gameplay encompasses a whole bunch of things. Polish encompasses a whole bunch of things. Same with audio. Story is the one that's like very minimal. There's with story, that's it. Why story? Why not something else? Story for me is important. It's like one of the main things that I look into a game. I love stories. That's why I play games. That's why people read books. That's why people watch movies. So story-wise, I feel the game was pretty good. It certainly was a mind fuck the entire time. Like, until the end, just you don't know what's going on, you know what's gonna happen. It's really, really confusing, but in a good way. However, I cannot give it a super crazy good score for story because the ending was kind of meh. And there's a few things I want to talk about. So, the entire game, I've been playing a certain way, and I've been choosing my choices a very certain, specific way. I wanted to go full madness, so as soon as I could, I took madness options. I saw my sanity go down, and whilst the game has a good overall story, I've watched other people play the game differently on purpose. Like I went to see other streamers, and they were choosing the total opposite of my choices, and it didn't change a thing. Not a thing. Like, in the end, after all the dialogues and stuff, like, obviously it's different dialogues, but the end results, for the most part, were always the same. So when they're asking you, like, oh, do you want to drink alcohol? It's going to impact your gameplay and stuff, and you choose yes or no, it doesn't change anything. Sanity doesn't seem to change anything in the game. And story bits where you have like do you want to bring that guy with you when you go into the dimension or not, seems to not matter anyway. It seems like whatever you do, the game will make it so that you don't have a choice. Like, it tells you that you have a choice and you make the choice, but in the end, that character will still accompany you and will still do whatever it needs to do for the whole game, for the story to keep on going. So it's like fake choices, and that bothers me a little bit. That's why I can't give it like a super good score. It has a good overall story, but the moment-to-moment story bits are not as great. So story, I honestly cannot give it more than a 5 out of 7. So it is a good story, but not a great one, and certainly not an amazing story. Gameplay was a very mixed bag for me. I really enjoy certain aspect of the gameplay. I really do like the collectathon, where you collect like books and stuff, and those increases certain, you know, parts of your stats and things. That was really cool. I liked reading the backstory of all the stuff that was in the game. I liked the investigation moments where you have to piece out you know, a situation and see what happened, and you trying to, like, based on clues, trying to figure out like what happened in a room at a certain moment, you know, past. That was cool. However, the game seems to be a very weird game in terms of gameplay. The game doesn't seem to know what it wants to do. It's a walking simulator at most of the time, with, you know, like I said, investigations and stuff. But some of the time it's like a horror game where you have to hide. Then there's like monster bits. At some other time, you play different characters with different rules. For example, like when you play the nurse, if you pick up a medical book, it doesn't increase your stats because it's not you. You're playing somebody else that has different stat. That other character has maxed medicine, maxed other things, and you're playing that character. So those whole sequence, other than seeing a moment, other than giving you like a slight different point of view, doesn't add anything to your main character. Doesn't add anything to the gameplay, really. And there's even like a shooter part of the game where you shoot zombies. The hit detection on the gun is not great. Sometimes enemies would be right in my face and I would be shooting them, and it wouldn't necessarily register the proper way because it's not supposed to be a shooter game, but then they add those kind of stuff to the game. Like, I don't know, it's just, the game is all over the place. It doesn't know what it wants to do. It does a little bit of everything, but not great. I'm giving this a 4. It's a very average gameplay. It has very good moments, but very weird and shitty moments, and it just brings the score down a little bit. Audio is really great. The music is fantastic. The voice acting is good. The overall sound, just like walking and just like moving around in the game, just like the sound of wind, thunder, just everything is just great. The voice actor is the same guy that made Vampire. Really cool overall experience. Honestly, there's no character in the game that I really felt like the voice acting was just like shit. Like every voice acting was great. And yeah, so you know, it's not like crazy good, but it's really great. So I'm giving this a 6 for audio. And the overall polish of the game. Now, I'm giving this game a little bit of a pass because it's not a AAA title. It is very much a smaller studio that made this game. Cyanide Studio is a very small team. However, and it's a very ambitious title, so I give them props for that. However, there's a lot of clipping in the animations. You'll see like people clip through their clothes. You'll see mistakes in the subtitles, like it doesn't reflect necessarily what is said. A lot of the times when you read something on a piece of paper, you can still read it, like, because it's big enough for you to read in English, but the translated text that they give to you on the side is vastly different from the thing that is on the paper. You sometimes will miss part, like important and cool part of the story, because they're not mentioned in the side text. They're only mentioned on the page. So if you only read the side text, like the game seems to be wanting you to do, because like I said, it's big enough for you to read, but it's kind of hard to read. Like you have to really focus. Like it's like you know, like handwritten and stuff. So it's like it has flourish and it's hard to decipher what it means. But like if you take the time to read those pages, there's a lot more cool information that you have on the side thing. There's not enough animations on characters' faces and idle animations, so they repeat a lot. And by a lot, I mean a lot. Like I even made fun of some of those during one of the times that we played this game, where the characters were talking in front of a fireplace and they were sitting down and they were making these weird like neck thing and arm thing the entire time they were talking, because probably because the timer in between those idle animations was too short, so they kept animating like crazy. and it just looked ridiculous. Like I said before, the gun mechanic is poorly implemented. There's a lot of bugs with that. Sometimes you'll shoot an enemy super far away and you'll one-shot it in the head, and some of the times they'll be right next to your face. You have the gun in his face, you shoot, and the bullet will just miss it. That kind of stuff really is annoying. It's a bit unfortunate. Oh, also, I wanted to add something about gameplay. The whole skill mechanic, cool. No purpose whatsoever. Doesn't matter. You can build a character whatever you want. It's never gonna matter. And some skills are more important than others. Like eloquence and psychology are not super useful, whereas strength has some use sometimes. And the most two important ones are spot and investigation. Even I dare say investigation is the one skill you want to have maxed as soon as possible. Sometimes I've been running around in circles trying to figure out what a puzzle was because I messed up my trying to lockpick a lock, and it took me like 5 times the time to try and figure the puzzle out because I couldn't just go straight to the locked door. Whereas I saw the streamers go through that section in the blink of an eye because they lockpicked the door, and then the item they needed was right there. They just took it, went ahead, completed the puzzle in 1 second, and moved on, and it was super easy. Like there's a lot of that in the game. The sanity mechanic, no purpose whatsoever. I've seen people be like super stable even at the end of the game, and even then it didn't change their endings, didn't change the gameplay at all. I had crappy I was psychotic at the end according to my sanity level. Didn't do anything, didn't change anything whatsoever in the game. I didn't have any more or weirder experience because I was going crazy. There just was no difference whatsoever. And the 2 endings in the game, bad ending, and Darth is you summarized it perfectly. Bad ending, madness. Good ending, madness. There's no escaping it. Apparently, whatever you do, it ends poorly. So yeah, that's my overall take on all the aspects of the game. Now, on to the final verdict. The final verdict for Call of Cthulhu is a 4 out of 7. It is a average game. Very average. Like I said before, good things, but very weird decisions and poorly implemented features drag it down and brings it down to a 4 out of 7. So pick it up if you want. Pick it up when it's I wouldn't say when it's on sale. Maybe not pick it up full sale. It's not. I don't think it's worth the price of admission at the moment. And yeah, very average game. Not my favorite, but not a terrible game either. Just an okay game. So if you want to play a game, if you have the chance of grabbing it like super cheap and you just want to have a good time and not worry about too much about what's going on and not think too much about the plot holes and all that stuff, you're good to go. You're gonna have a good time. But if you're looking for a game that is both scary and has a great atmosphere and amazing gameplay, this isn't it. It has good atmosphere, not scary at all, and gameplay, like I said before, is very average. So yeah, that's my overall take on Cyanide Studio Call of Cthulhu. Thank you guys for watching. Love your faces. I'll see you guys for the next review. Bye bye.